Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Siobhan, the Celtic Empath, aka the Celtic Empath, or aka Morgana Speaks. Not to confuse things too much. It's probably just I need to make a decision for myself, just to clarify really what is the full title of my name. I am a Game of Thrones fan. I do like long titles. It's interesting. Let's make life interesting, I think. But anyways, for today, I'm back here again on my channel. Welcome and thank you for taking the time to listen and for discovering my channel, because if you're watching this, it is hopefully the result of that we have common and similar interests, and that you have questions that need answering to. And the purpose of my video today is to hopefully answer, or at least discuss, the topic of the daily practice, or having a daily ritual. So my question really that I've been mulling over myself for the past couple of weeks, and really trying to kind of pin down and clarify, as somebody who is an empath, and an empath who is, may I add, coming out of the empath closet, or the spiritual closet as I like to say. So it's a slow process, like the butterfly unfolding, coming out of its cocoon, and that kind of epic sort of and slow process, the metamorphosis of the caterpillar coming out of the cocoon, breaking out, and then coming out to be the butterfly. So this is a process that's happening to a lot of people, and it's happening to many people, and you don't even have to think of yourself or class yourself as being particularly an empath, or you don't have to relate to me as being an empath. I'm reaching out to people who may consider themselves to be sensitive, who may consider themselves to be self-aware, self-reflective. You may be considering yourself to be artistic or highly creative. Empathic people tend to be creative, I guess, anyway. But we're not here to really kind of box ourselves into any labels, even though I am describing myself as the Celtic empath. And that's a way of connecting with something inside of myself, and a way to connect externally. So you don't have to be, what I'm saying, connecting with an empath, or think of yourself as being an empath, to maybe connect with what I want to talk about. So really about the idea around a daily practice, and having a daily practice or a daily ritual. Commonly, okay, if we're working and stuff, we have set practices or rituals that we do when we get up in the morning. So our day tends to start off on this sort of routine of things that we do to get ourselves ready, to prepare ourselves. And once we start gaining momentum with that, it becomes a way of living, it becomes habitual, and we get to a point where maybe we don't really think about it anymore, we don't question it, until maybe we have to, something happens in our lives, or our health, our vitality, or our wellness starts to decrease. So we start maybe questioning what we're doing, our habits, our lifestyle. Maybe we're forced into a situation that we have to look at our lifestyles, our daily practices, our daily rituals. So having the cigarette in the morning, having a cup of coffee. The coffee is part of my own personal daily ritual. And I say daily because I do like to have my coffee daily. But that has become an important part of my own ritual. But to take it a step further, when I talk about a daily practice, what really has been on my own mind, and what has also been something that's been resistance, and in resistance, which has really asked me to look at my own idea of what a daily practice is, and what does a daily practice need to be, because it can be anything. And when you kind of step out of the spiritual closet, or you're becoming more awakened and aware, and you want to live a life that maybe isn't so committed to the 9 to 5 or the established sort of system or way that we've been kind of not told, but I guess we're kind of rallied into sort of living, or we're kind of grown up in this rotary sort of system, that this is just the way, you know, our life is, modern life is. You know, you get an education, you go as far as you can perhaps in that education, you get qualifications, you get a paper to kind of say that, you know, look, these are my skills and my attributes, and I've studied and I've gone so far academically or as an apprenticeship or whatever it is. But this is a standard that's all over the world, it's everywhere, no matter what country, what standards of education they have. We're all aspiring to have this way of life. It's not necessarily right, it's not necessarily wrong, but I definitely am somebody who questions that. And the 9 to 5 doesn't necessarily work for everybody, just like the schooling system doesn't work for everybody. And the kind of main thing is that also a set daily practice is something that can be anything that is relevant or important to you, that sets you up for your day. So I would have had a daily practice before of getting up, having a cup of coffee, maybe reading a book, a few pages of a book, and maybe going for some exercise, maybe for 10 minutes, whether it was just doing normal stretches, introducing some jumping jacks, and then that's it. Have your breakfast and then you're out the door to work. And what more can you expect when you have to get to work, and that is the priority of the day, and you have to get out the door and you have to do that. But what is a daily practice? What is a fulfilling daily practice? And what do you need to add to it? Or what do you need to take away from it? And is a daily practice relevant? When I talk about a daily practice now compared to what was my daily practice before was more a system of necessary things that needed to be done, which was exercise, read a few pages of a book to kind of you know, get my interest going sort of in the day, and that I could squeeze in something that was interesting to me before I had to go and actually do something else that maybe wasn't as interesting, and I knew I wouldn't get a chance to read my book later on. So that was important to me then. What's important to me now as a daily practice is, and what's maybe more ascribed to, or what people consider a daily practice, is meditation, yoga, maybe doing some breathing techniques, some chanting, and or some type of form of exercise, and which could be Pilates or yoga to start off the day. If you've read some books now, there's some really popular books, so like The Miracle Morning. I've read that book, and like that's a daily practice of getting up like 5 o'clock in the morning, which is great if you live in California or Los Angeles, or you live in some sunny part of Australia. Wonderful. I'd be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning too. But I live in Ireland, and I don't particularly want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, especially in the winter. Now, I can just about do 6:30 in the winter in Ireland. And thankfully, because I don't have to be somewhere for 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in Ireland, so I can enjoy starting my daily practice at 6:30 in the morning, and I get up. And so my daily practice would consist of an hour of maybe refreshing myself, so hot water and lemon to start things off. If I want to, I may read a book on a spiritual topic. Again, that has been something that's always stayed relevant and important to me. A very important practice that, again, and you see, nothing is fixed. This is the thing about a daily practice. And this is what's so important, is about having resistance. It's also about having routine and having consistency. Now, you might wonder, why am I throwing in resistance with routine and consistency? This is the thing, because it's important to not be so fixed on something. And as we move forward, as creative people, as intuitive people, as self-aware people, as empathic people, a lot of people are questioning the 9 to 5 and to come out of this kind of conveyor belt life that we have kind of designed for ourselves, or that perhaps has been designed for us, whichever way. And to me, that's just linear life. That's just one way of living. And something for that for me isn't in alignment with me. It's never felt right. And so the process of breaking out of that, when it's all around you, it surrounds you, you're grown up, you're reared to be that way or to live that way or to adopt this culture or belief system, when everything inside of you says, well, no, this actually doesn't feel right for me. And I know that there's a lot of people, and if you're watching, you're probably one of those people that it's never really felt right for you, but we get to a certain point where we just accept it or it becomes normal. So in the daily practice, you can start off, let's just, for example, in January of this year, I started off with a daily practice at 6:30 in the morning. Whether it was snowing outside, whether it was raining, didn't matter if the wind was howling. Immediately when I woke up, I have to go outside to get some fresh air. And that's at 6:30 in the morning in an Irish winter. Now I have to say, it was the most fruitful, enlivening, refreshing, because it's fresh at that time in the morning. And I felt bloody good to set up and start my day like that. And I went out, I did 10 minutes exercise, jumping around, waking up in the dark, with the cats watching me, wondering what the hell is she up to this hour in the morning, all sitting there, 4 of them. Then the dogs join in and the dogs need attention, blah, blah, blah. But we get through it. It's all part of the daily practice and the routine. And that's what I did. I drank hot water and lemon, did my exercise, and I was outside in an Irish winter morning to see the sun rising and coming up. And I have to say, it's worth it. And when I went back into my house, I was ready to do some meditation. I could do that then. And I was happy because I saw the sun coming up. I went in, sit down to meditate and maybe journal. Another important part. Journaling and writing. So if I don't read in the morning, I'm usually going to be writing something. It's kind of one or the other. And this is the resistance to one or the lack of being fixed to something else. So what you will find is that, or what I would like to suggest is that there isn't a fixed daily practice. And that's a good thing, that you break out of any fixed routine, because you don't want to go back into a 9 to 5 routine, and you don't want to make your daily practice a 9 to 5 routine. And you're going to resist this, and you're going to resist the idea of the daily practice, first of all, and then what are you going to implement or make part of your daily practice? And then when you do it, you're going to resist certain parts of it. And they're the parts that you need to do, the ones that you resist. But then as time goes on, you start to become comfortable with it. So then there's the resistance to change, even though after 3, 4, 5 months of rigorously sticking to a daily practice, maybe of meditating and journaling and doing some exercise, something inside of you might be starting to rear up and kind of want you to change something about your daily practice or your routine or whatever it is. And you will begin to have resistance to that change. So that's the idea of having resistance in a daily practice, or coming to your daily practice with resistance. So you can't, shouldn't, wouldn't, please don't resist the change or this necessary feeling inside to change, because yeah, your daily practice might be working very, very well, and it does. But as an instinctual, awakened, creative individual, it's important then to go with the change and not to resist it. You'll resist wanting to do a daily practice, you'll resist not wanting to do a daily practice, and when you do it, then you'll resist wanting to change it when you find something that starts working for you. But we're not here to stick to the 9 to 5. We're here and you're listening to me only because you want to break that 9 to 5. You want to break that 9 to 5 mentality up here, and you don't want to have that in your life anymore. And that requires change, consistency, and it requires a certain element of being aware of the resistance that's involved and knowing what that resistance is. Once you know what it is, you can change it, you can implement it, you'll still have it, but you'll be able to do something about it. So that's briefly something about a daily practice. And I hope that was kind of helpful or insightful. And yes, I have a different daily practice that I've been implementing in the past 2 weeks because I've been having my own resistance with it. So what I want to do now, before I sign off, as usual, because this is also part of a daily practice that I like to do, is taking some bit of weekly insight and guidance. And I do it weekly as opposed to daily. Because daily I like to implement my own intuition and guidance and what's coming through. So I don't use the cards every day, but it is nice to have something new insight or something new to consider in your mind. And sometimes the cards are often the same. They don't maybe change from week to week, so that's good, but that's also a reminder to stay focused on the original message. So now I would like to use my dragon cards, and I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to do that now as mindfully as I can. I'm clearing the cards and I'm allowing my own higher guidance and intuition to relax and settle into myself. As I shuffle these cards and I connect with my higher self, I trust in God and I trust in myself. And I know that as I ask the question, I ask my guidance to bring through the highest and greatest message that will be the best intentioned, highest vibrating message for all concerned that may take the time to watch this video. This will be a message for everybody coming off of the topic of the daily practice. This is the highest meaning message to serve all. Okay, and so the cards are starting to split naturally again by themselves. So this is a good indication that the energy is changing. Okay, they're wanting to jump out and pop out. So I'm just going to place them on the table, which I know you can't see, and I'm just going to split them, a natural split. You'll feel the cards, they have a natural split where they just go. You let your hand do it. Okay, so I'll put up a proper picture of this, but this is Melusine. Okay, so I hope that will be in focus. So I'll put a proper picture up so that you can actually see a close-up of it. But this is Melusine. She is another dragon fae goddess. And the message on this card says to love who you are. So I would take from that message to love who you are in relation to the daily practice, that having a daily practice, that these are little ways that we do tend to kind of nourish ourselves and give ourselves self-care. So if in the morning before we go to work we do our 2, 3 or 4 things that we enjoy doing, which is having our cup of coffee, browsing through a magazine or a newspaper, reading a favorite few pages of a book because it's something you enjoy and you know you won't get the time to do it later. Having your favorite breakfast, you know, whether it's beans on toast before you rush out the door. Whatever all these morning little rituals are that you can get into your day. And I've just realised a lot of them at the moment that I've just mentioned there are related to food, which is a way of course loving ourselves, is giving ourselves proper nourishment and food, and necessary, important. in the morning time, but it is also that portal to love, nourishment and nurturing and caring for ourselves. So, and that's the message of Melusine, is loving who you are. So when you implement your daily ritual, whether it's you can get 5 minutes to meditate, because 5 minutes is better than no minutes of meditation, believe you me, and doing some mindful breathing exercises, and having your hot water with lemon in the morning, getting in 10 minutes of rounds of exercise, whatever it is, in order to make yourself, you know, alive and awake and connected. All these small ritualistic things are all the habits of loving yourself. So I think Melusine is kind of compounding that message of maybe defining and clearing, having a daily practice or daily rituals, how important it actually is, and how we do all actually have them, maybe without really just calling it, I have a daily practice of getting up at 6:30 and I like to eat beans and toast and read my newspaper. But sure, but if you can go deeper than that, if you can go a bit more connected than that, and if it calls to you to do some deep breathing exercises in the morning, various different things in order to love yourself and to nurture yourself. And especially to all those mothers out there, it's even more important, as we know, when we get up in the morning, to have that peace and quiet in the morning, to enjoy just a cup of coffee before the kids get up, how important and life-saving that is. But to take nurturing in that, when you do it, whatever you decide to implement as your daily practice, to see it as it's necessary, to kind of acknowledge it, and to know, not feel guilty or bad that it's, oh, I shouldn't be indulging another cup of coffee, or I shouldn't be having more beans and toast, or whatever it is that you need to resist or not resist, whatever it is you feel you need that really nurtures you and sets you up for your day in a daily practice, then implement that. If you've only 10 minutes or half an hour or an hour in the morning to do it, then it's okay to do it. Give yourself that permission to do it. And that really is the message for the week. Melusine is just saying to find that time to be able to give yourself some nurturing and love who you are. And that's really all it is. And that's what your daily practice is really about. It's about being able to give yourself some self-care. So with that, thank you for listening, because this is a bit longer than I'd planned. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. You might want to clear something up, or you might need something cleared as to what a daily practice is. Yeah, I'd love it. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe, thumbs up. But nice comments though. Don't want any of that bad stuff. Okay, so thank you for listening, and I'm going to leave you. Blessings be, and in love and light.